Let's give yourselves a hand for showing up to hear from these great panelists. I'm Dr. Levy Brown. I have the honor of serving as the Vice President of Student Access and Success here at the college. It's an honor to stand before you this morning for this great event, and really I think we all are in for a treat to hear from our esteemed panelists who you will hear from shortly. And so we would like to thank them for being a part of the event today. Let's give them a hand on the front end. Today's theme is leadership and legacy. And we're excited to hear from everyone. We're excited to learn insights. We're excited to hear from our student speaker as well, our panelists, and some of the questions that we've also received from student members. With that being said, thank you to everyone who's in attendance today in advance, our students, faculty, staff, and any community members who are here. Before I turn it over to our esteemed president, Dr. Honeycutt, I do want to give a special shout out to everyone who has helped to make this event a success and pull things together. I won't call every single name, but we definitely have to give our SGA students a shout out. SGA. Our ambassadors, Mr. Frazier specifically, who will be giving some remarks here. The Office of the President, Kara Deans, Marbeth Holmes, Ms. June Kearney, who will be my co-moderator, Sakisha Floyd, who will be giving closing remarks, Renee Martinez, Mr. and Mrs. Gainey, Trustee Gailliard, Dr. Farrow, Director Askew, and Dr. Lewis from Marketing and PR, Catherine, and Linda, Snell, and Chris. That's our entire team that has helped to pull this together. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Honeycutt.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. So as you can hear, we have a little competition next door. I'm told the snow day for the city's Black History Month event was moved till today because of the snow last week. So we're going to have fun in here, even if we may have to sing in a minute. But other than that, we're going to have fun. But I am Lou Honeycutt, and I'm honored to serve as president of this incredible institution. And I do always start off things I say by saying great morning. Notice I didn't say good morning. This is Nash Community College. Nash Community College at events like this, on days like this, good just doesn't cut it. So great morning to everyone. We're so glad you're here. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, which one of my bosses is sitting right here. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and students, welcome to campus today. For any who may be visiting from off campus, take some time when this is over, drive around campus, look around, because it's an incredible place to be. And we're all very proud of working here. So I don't want to take any more time away from the rest of the festivities. So I would ask Damon Frazier to come up and give the student remarks. He is one of our early college students. You know, we have a early college high school and a skills high school, City High, on campus now. And we're very proud of that. So if you want to come up, Mr. Frazier, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. My name is Damon Frazier, and I'm a student here at Nash Community College, as well as a graduating senior at the early college. I also have the amazing pleasure to serve as a student ambassador here on campus. It's an honor to be here today for this discussion on leadership and legacy. Black History Month is more than just a time of remembrance. It's a time to celebrate strength, resilience, and contributions of Black leaders, past and present. It's a reminder of how far we've come and how much further we must go. Black history is American history. It's the story of individuals who challenged injustice, were committed to seeking change, and paved the way for future generations. Leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Shirley Chisholm, and John Lewis didn't just dream of a better future. They worked relentlessly to build one, and their sacrifices laid the foundation for the opportunities we have today. But Black history isn't just about the past. It's about the leaders in our communities today. Mentors, educators, community leaders, and everyday people who continue to push for progress. It's about those who serve, who uplift, and who create opportunities for others. And it's about each of us, because leadership is not just a position, it's an action. As a Black student leader here at Nash Community College, I understand the importance of representation. In many spaces, I am one of the few, and that comes with both a responsibility and an opportunity. A responsibility to lead by example, to advocate for others, and to ensure that the voices of students who look like me and others are heard. And an opportunity to show younger students that they too belong in every room, at every table, and in every leadership position. I've learned that leadership isn't just about holding a title. It's about making an impact, standing up for what's right, and ensuring the next generation has even more opportunities than we do. That's why recognizing and celebrating Black history is so important. It is the foundation of the struggles and triumphs of those who came before us are never forgotten, and that their work continues in each of us. So as we continue to celebrate Black History Month and Black history in general, I leave you with this. What will your legacy be? Will you be a voice for change? Will you uplift others as you climb? Will you make it easier for the next person to step into leadership? Black history is still being written. Let's make it so everyone will be proud to read that book. Thank you.
Fantastic job. Let's give him a hand again. What we did learn in just a pre-conversation, and you can attest to this after hearing him speak, is that he has been accepted into Morehouse College. As well. So definitely a bright future ahead wherever you decide to land. Thank you, sir.
Great morning.
Great morning.
I am June Kearney. I am the Department Chair for Natural Sciences here at Nash Community College, and I also teach chemistry. I've been here for 28 years.
Wow.
And I'm excited to serve as co-moderator of today's event with Dr. Brown. Turn it back over.
I'll be very brief. Levy Brown, and I've been here less than 28 years. But I'm happy to serve with my esteemed colleague who has made a lot of contributions here at the college, as attested in the 28 years of service in higher education here.
So at this time, we're going to get started with our panel, and we're going to have them introduce themselves in their own way. And so we'll start with my friend, knowing her, Angela Gailliard.
Well, good morning. As Ms. June said, my name is Angela Gailliard. I have been a resident of Nash County for over 20 years, which is significant coming from a military household. So this is the place I've lived the longest in my life. Since I have been a teenager, I've always advocated and believed in community service and serving in the community. So since I've been in Nash County, I have served multiple different nonprofit organizations, different boards and organizations, and I am very excited to be here today. So for framework, so that you know the perspective that I'm coming from, my initial service in Nash County was with my son's daycare school. They have an advisory council, so I served there, and as they grew older, I served on different parental advisory boards in the school system. You'll hear from some educators here momentarily, and that brought me into serving with Down East Partnership for Children, where I served for 6 years, the full term that you could do there, and I was an officer with that organization. Currently, I serve with Futrell Malden Community Foundation. I am the audit committee chair for the statewide North Carolina Community Foundation. I am president of our local United Way board, United Way of Tar River Region. I am very active at my church and with my sorority, and I work at Golden Leaf Foundation, which is a nonprofit that focuses on economic development across the entire state of North Carolina. So have a very community-centric lens, and so excited to be here to share with you all today.
Good morning. My name is Leondus Farrow, Jr. I currently serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services and Operations for Nash County Public Schools. I'm a native of North Carolina, raised in Englehart, North Carolina, the big county of Hyde. Most people in here probably are not familiar with that. It's a very small community, but it's where I gained my work ethics, my desire to be a productive citizen, and to be able to give back to a community in which I live. That is the grassroots of where I learned those things. I'm a graduate of East Carolina University, where I received my undergrad, my master's, and my doctoral degree. I loved East Carolina University so much I did it 3 times. So, this is my 28th year in education. I've served as a middle school physical education teacher and coach in Wilson County. I left there and went to Craven County, where I served as a dropout prevention counselor, assistant principal, and principal. And then I spent the past 17 years in Nash County, where I was principal at Rocky Mount High School for 9 years. My beloved Rocky Mount High School, although I serve all the schools in the districts now, Rocky Mount High School will always have a special place. I currently live in Pitt County, but I spend most of my time in Nash County. And so I just want to make sure that I have taken care of the gift that God has given me as it relates to education, because I believe that education is my calling, and that I have been productive in my work to serve the children and family who've been put under my care.
Good morning. My name is Pamela Gainey, and I'm a physical education teacher at Rocky Mount High School. I am also from North Carolina. I grew up in Goldsboro. My parents were educators. My grandparents were educators. So I tried other things, but I just found nothing that I was interested in. I've been blessed to be here in Rocky Mount since 1989. I started at Edwards Junior High School, 8th and 9th grade. I taught and coached over there, and I've been at Rocky Mount High School since 2007. I too am a graduate of East Carolina University, and I liked it so much I did it twice. Haven't done it a third time. I got my undergrad and my master's degree from there, and just happy to be here with you all today. It has been a privilege for me to serve. I had a great opportunity when I was in high school through sports, and it has really blessed my life. I was able to go to college for free, and I still can't get past that. And I'm just blessed to be able to serve and to help young ladies in a delicate time in their lives. And I've been doing this for 35 years.
Oh, good morning. My name is Michael Gainey. I am currently athletic director and head boys basketball coach at Rocky Mount High School. This is my 36th year here teaching in the school system. I too started, it was junior high at the time in '89, and they moved over to the high school after that, but I came in coaching football and basketball. I too am a graduate of East Carolina University. Played football there, but I did it one time. I double majored, in communication and in driver education. And lo and behold, when I got into the teaching part, they got rid of driver education here in North Carolina. So I had to go another route in order to serve as PE. Again, y'all gonna know this is my wife, Pam Gainey, at school. We've been together that long, for 36 years, in the same building. And y'all trying to figure out how we handle that. She's in one part of the building, I'm in another part. It worked out real well. But again, Rocky Mount has been a great home for us. We have 2 children, Michael Gainey Jr. and Michelle. And my son, he's the coach now at Newport News Apprenticeship, the apprenticeship program over there, which is a D3 school, and so he's coaching there, so he's following our footsteps. And our daughter, she's traveling all over the world right now as a travel nurse, so he's trying to figure that part out. But anyway, again, Rocky Mount has been a great place for us, and we really enjoy being here.
Well, we are happy to have you all here on the panel, and it sounds like you all are going in for a treat. I knew I had a connection with Angela because we've been knowing each other since 2006, and the Gaineys, because I actually started at Rocky Mount High as a teacher. So that's where my connection comes with you. I have a connection with each one on the panel. And so we'll jump in with our first question for each of you. And that question is, who is the person that has influenced you the most on your leadership journey? And we'll start with you.
So this is a hard question to answer because I've been blessed with many mentors and role models throughout my life and my career. So I narrowed it to two. So I'll share very quickly those two. The first is, when I was in high school, I was a very good student. And back in those days, and it's scary saying that, right? Back in those days, but y'all don't feel as old as you are, do you? I know I don't. So, but back in those days, people would say, oh, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? You're so smart, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's all we knew, right, as for smart, successful people. So a friend of mine's mother shared an article from Essence magazine with me on women in engineering. I didn't know what an engineer was. I was embarrassed to tell her that. So she said, you should look into it. I loved math. Math was my favorite subject, and science. And so I did. And her intervention and sharing that article with me literally changed the trajectory of my life and my education and my career. I ended up going to Duke University and did a double major in biomedical engineering and electrical engineering. And I would not have done that had she not given me that exposure. So she's the first, and that is someone seeing something in you that you may not even see in yourself, and believing something for you that you hadn't even considered. And then the second person I'll share was my first boss out of college. So I went to work out of college for Procter & Gamble as an engineer in one of their manufacturing facilities. And I was blessed to work for the only Black woman engineer in management at the time. And so that was important for me for two reasons, because she not only was someone who looked like me, so I could see myself in her, I could see myself advancing in engineering, being a leader in engineering, because she did it, I could do it too, right? Someone that looks like me. But she was also a Christian, and how she managed and led people was so different than the other models of leadership I had seen. I'd seen models of leadership where people wielded their power to kind of intimidate people. It was really demeaning at times and demoralizing to people, but she led with dignity and grace and compassion. And from her example, I was able to craft my personal leadership style and model, but it was because I had that example before me of seeing someone who looked like me, who was successful, able to do it well, and do it with dignity and grace. And so those two women really influenced my leadership journey the most.
And for me, there are a myriad of individuals who have impacted who I am as a leader. And at different phases in my life. When I was in high school, it was my teachers, those who saw leadership potential in me, and they were always pushing me into leadership activities. You're going to be a leader. You need to be in this. You need to be in that. I was always at school. I was always doing something. I lettered in 3 sports. I was a part of the chorus. I was a part of the drama club. I was just always in something. They were always pushing me into leadership activities. And I remember I was going to go into the military, and it was one of my math teachers who said to me, the military is good, but with who you will be as a leader, you could do so much more by going to get your education first. And so she was really the one who drove the thought into my mind about going to college. So I pursued the college route. And then there were coaches along the way who taught me things about being a man, about how I should carry myself and conduct myself. It were my uncles, men in my family, who helped instill work ethic in me. And then when I got to college, there were two men. One was Ben Dixon, who I worked for at Chick-fil-A, and I had a fraternity brother named Alonzo. He was an older gentleman who had been around, graduated, and he took me under his wing, and they talked to me about how do you prepare yourself for manhood? How do you prepare yourself once you receive this education to conduct yourself in a way that you're able to live a life where you're a productive citizen? And then I get into my career, and people who served as my administrators, individuals who I teach with or taught with, they all had some sort of impact on me as a leader. But the person probably who was the most impactful was my mother. It was my mother who showed me what it meant when you had to stand strong and you had to be resilient. I saw that in her. It was my mother who taught me that, son, you have to have a line in the sand somewhere. And once you commit to that line, regardless of the cost, you have to be willing to stand there. It was my mother that taught me that what I do in my life in terms of helping people, I do it for my children, I do it for my family, because I don't know when someone in my family might need someone who I've helped along the way. So when I think about who I am as a leader, all of those people who have touched me and the things that my mother instilled in me as a young man and still instill in me as they've all impacted how I present myself as a leader.
Well, for me, much as like Mr. Farrow said, just in different stages of my life, there have been different people who have inspired me. And I guess from the beginning, it was my parents. My parents were much older. And like I said before, they were educators, but they were much older. Like my father was born in 1927. And my mother in 29. So when they were teachers, especially my mother was a home economics teacher, they would have to go to the homes of their homeroom students, all of them. So they were, I mean, you talk about being out in the community, they had to do that every year. And my father taught bricklaying, and he had the boys from the time they were ninth grade, and some girls, on up until they were seniors. So I mean, they actually went out into the community and they built houses. So my views of them, I saw them out in the community, and I saw the impact that they had with so many people, because like I said, they were older. So I was able to see that and see the impact when the older students, the grown students would come back. And that just really meant a lot to me, and trying to do things the right way for the right reasons to help. And they did. My mother taught almost 40 years, and my father 32, 33, and that just really, and my aunts and uncles. And I sat and I listened to their journeys to get where they were and to be able to serve their community in the manners that they did. And it just really made an impression on me. As far as my sports goes, I had a mentor by the name of Gerald Whitley. Gerald Whitley was a Goldsboro guy, and he grew up, he was a guidance counselor when I first met him. And he also coached the girls basketball and the girls track. They were very successful. And one morning, I guess one afternoon, I was at my mother's school. At this point, he was the assistant principal there. And at the end of the school year, it seemed like the teachers had to be there for a week or so after, cleaning up and straightening up and what have you. And he came in and told my mother to bring me the next day, which I was upset because that was my summer was beginning. I didn't want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And he took me in the gym. I'd never played basketball before, and he just wanted to show me some things because he thought I had something. And just that little bit inspired me. And my first job, I was a basketball coach and a track coach. And that's what I'm still doing.
Pretty much the same thing they said. Just as you grow up, you have certain people in your life that just come and just take you underneath their wings. I've been blessed in my neighborhood, like cul-de-sac. We all, well, the adults, kind of just raised us all. But there was one special man by the name of Clarence Moore, who was that Boy Scout leader, that big brother to everyone. He taught us a lot of things as far as fishing, doing little skills with our hands, playing sports, stuff of that nature. And for a gentleman like that to take, I think it was about 12 of us, underneath his wing take him to his home and do certain things with him, meant a lot to me. Today, when I go home, we still get together and we go fishing and do a lot of things. And he calls me son all the time. And I have a dad. I have a dad. I had a dad. My father passed away. But he called us all son. And so as I transitioned to high school, I had teachers that pretty much did the same thing. For some reason, they kept pushing me into the leadership role. Not only did I play sports, but I was a drum major in our band. And so, I had to govern those peers underneath me. So it was very, very interesting to do those things. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad said you gotta have a plan. Well, I too, I enjoyed high school. I can't say I enjoyed high school, but I didn't have a plan. And like Mr. Farrow said, I had my hand on the door for the Army recruiter to go in. And I touched that doorknob and I took my hand off that doorknob and went on about my business and realized that that's not the route I wanted to go. And so I had a lot of parents that saw my leadership skills say, hey, why don't you go into teaching? Never thought about it, but once I got into it and saw the lives that I could touch, I continued to do those things. And another leader that I sit here and watch is Dr. Farrow sitting here. When he came in, he let us know that, hey, he's human, but we have a job to do, okay? So he knew when to be a leader and when to be a friend. And I am glad to be able to call him my friend as well as our leader. And again, he's been a positive part of my life. And I wouldn't say that if you weren't, I would say that if you were not sitting here too, Dr. Farrow. But he has really, to have someone that, in that position, carries himself in a positive manner, that helps me when I try to lead my career at the school as well.
Well, thank you for those responses. For our next question, we're going to let Mrs. Gainey and Dr. Farrow answer. And that question is, what motivates you to lead in this community?
I'll go first. Okay, I'll go first. I was given an opportunity to grow and to see things, and simply because I could put a ball in a hoop. And like I said before, I still cannot believe it to this day that just something I was so passionate about would lead to the opportunities that it has. And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And once I really started teaching and was able to really work with young ladies the way that I do, I was just inspired. If I can help them to see those types of opportunities that's possible, from being passionate about something, from working hard, for committing to something. And scholarship isn't always the goal. Basketball and sports is just the bond that brings us all together. And I get kids from the time that they are 13, 14 years old until they're 18. And to see growth and to try to inspire growth, and a nudge here, a shoulder to lean on, those are tough years, challenging years, and to be able to be in a position to be able to help assist young ladies as they grow and move towards their future is just a blessing. I would do what I do for no money.
That's awesome.
So, for me, I started in Craven County as a principal. And the unique thing about Craven County at West Craven High School, that experience for me, was that I was the first African-American principal at that high school. And so I was there for 2 years. And West Craven probably was about 60% white students, about 33% African American, then you had another minority that made up the rest. Very much kind of like the community I grew up in, but it was bigger. So I was kind of used to that type of community, and did well there as a principal for the 2 years. And one day I was sitting in my office and I got a phone call, and it was the superintendent at the time for Nash County, which was Nash Rocky Mount at the time, and it was Rick McMahon. And he called me and said, "You probably don't know me from Adam," and I didn't. And he said, "I want to offer you an opportunity to just sit and have a conversation with you. Nothing that you have to commit to. I just want to talk to you. I've been talking to some people throughout the state and the East Carolina University, and your name keeps coming up." And so I came and I met with him in Greenville. We had lunch. We had a very casual conversation, and that led to an interview for Rocky Mount High School. Now, I have to admit, I really did not know the city of Rocky Mount. I had been here, had family here, but didn't really know the city of Rocky Mount. All I knew was an opportunity to come to another place that was much different than where I have served before, and I wanted the opportunity. And this is a point that I want to make. I think when Mr. McMahon saw me, and he saw my size and my stature and my look, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's one who can help run Rocky Mount High School." I haven't always been the size that I am now. Believe it or not, at one point I was 6'4" and 195 pounds. But I'm saying that to say, and this is not disparaging of Mr. McMahon, because he's another one of those individuals who played a part in who I am as a leader. But some of what Mr. McMahon saw, I believe, when he saw me, was he saw a big black man of a certain stature who had credentials behind him, who could control some of the things that was happening in the school. So when I got to Rocky Mount High School, I didn't know, but I was the first African-American principal at Rocky Mount High School as well. And so I get there and I see some of the things going on. And as I began to think about my legacy and who I am as a leader, who I was as a leader, and who I wanted to become as a leader, the one thing that stayed with me was that the population of students that I'm serving in this school is about 72% African American. And what I want them to see is not me for my stature, my size, not me for my look, not me for my ability to control an environment, but I want them to see me for my knowledge. I want them to see me in how I present myself. I want them to know, as for the young people in here, and the song says, "I started at the bottom, now I'm here." I wanted them to know that you can start out at a certain place in life, but you're not relegated to that place. That opportunities beyond where you began exist for you. You have to be willing to put in the work to attain it, and you can't allow yourself to be a narrative of what people want you to be, but you have to create the narrative of who you want to be. And I wanted young people who looked like me to understand that I was more than a big black man, but I was an intelligent man, that I was a man that stood for principles. I was a man who knew how to present myself, that I could articulate myself. Most people don't know it. I spent from kindergarten until the 9th grade in speech therapy. I could not say TH words, S words, CH, those consonant blends, T words. I struggled with those things, and sometimes now I still struggle with it. But I spent 9 years in speech therapy, learning how to enunciate and articulate my words. So my reason for serving in this community, and I don't want just African American children to see it, I want any child to see that you can create your own narrative regardless of where you start in life.
Thank you. Insightful, powerful. Definitely thank you all for sharing your truth, so to speak. Next question is, and this is for Trustee Gailliard and Mr. Gainey. Why is it important to give back as leaders in the community? Why is it important to give back? You want this?
So I think you heard a lot of great reasons in the responses we just heard to the prior question as to why it's important to give back. I think as human beings, we need other people. We are created to be together. We are created to be in community. No one person can do it all alone, right? No one organization can do it all alone. We're each gifted in different ways. You've heard some of the panelists talked about their gifting, their calling, right? We're all gifted in different ways. And so whatever your gift is may not be my gift, but I need your gift, and you need mine. And so as we bring our gifts to the table, if you think of it as a jigsaw puzzle, and we each have a piece of the puzzle, our community is not complete if we don't all participate and serve and give. And so I think all of us are needed in order to move the needle in our communities. And so that change that we want to see, there are pieces that we each hold to making that action come to fruition, and it won't happen without all of us coming together. And so all of us need to participate and give back.
You know, and it basically goes right back again to what we talked about before, our upbringing. Now, we've all been blessed. I know I've been blessed to be able to teach and mentor some of the young kids that are underneath my wing. And for the parents or the families to have trust in me to guide them. So it's a blessing on our part to try to get these young men and women to the point where they can carry themselves in a positive manner out here in the community. One thing when I first got into school system and coaching wise, there was a particular way all my players had to be. You couldn't have the braids, they had to be clean cut. You carry yourself, when we travel, we carried ourselves in a very positive manner. Back we wore neckties and stuff of that nature. And I think it was the first state championship game we participated in. A gentleman from Fayetteville, he complimented the guys. And he said, "Coach, I appreciate what you're doing." What are you talking about? Look at all these young men. They are well dressed. They carry themselves in a positive manner. Their hair is combed, and they again carrying themselves in a positive manner. So to help give back to the community, anything that I can to try to make things positive for them, to show them another route, is one of the things that I've been blessed with. And again, it had just have been a joy for me. Again, I thank all the parents for allowing them to trust what I have to deliver to them to get them on the road. So again, it goes right back to how I was taught or treated when I was a young man. I did try to push back on them, so give them some type of positive influence.
Thank you again. Lots of great information that you're all providing for us. The next question is going to be for Trustee Gailliard and Dr. Farrow. Discuss the importance of obtaining a quality education and pursuing higher education.
You want to go first, educator?
So my mother dropped out of high school in 10th grade. My father left school in the 8th grade. And my father was basically forced to leave school because he was born in 1943. So he was born at a time, still very much so, when young men got a certain age, education was not necessarily the priority, depending on the home from which you came, but more so you had to go to work. And my father and his family, they were the sharecroppers. They lived on another person's farm, and there was farming duties that he had to do. So in 8th grade, he had to transition to that. So it was always the expectation of my mother that I receive a high school education. Now, she said, beyond that, that's your choice. But what I want from you is that you are a productive citizen and that you're able to take care of yourself. So whether you go to college or you go into the military, you go straight into the workforce, that's your choice, but you need to get a high school education. It was the teachers and the adults at the school who saw that other potential in me. And so growing up in poverty, and some of you in here can relate to this, maybe some of you on this panel, where I grew up at in Eastern North Carolina, there were many homes that did not have running water, and they did not have bathrooms. And so that was the way I grew up until I was about 10, 11 years old. So coming from and working in the fields, the cucumber fields, and working in the woods, chopping wood, it was hard, it was manual labor. And we were poor, we didn't have a lot. So education became a vehicle for me to improve the quality of my life economically, to be able to create a life for my children so that they would not have to go through or sustain some of the things that I had to go through. But the other thing that education has given me is the opportunity to touch people and places where I never thought I would have went. If it had not been for the opportunities given to me through education, I would have never become a high school principal. I would have never been assistant superintendent. I probably would not have traveled throughout the country unless I went into the military and did such that way. And the other thing that education gives you is it levels the playing field for you to some degree. It will at least give you an opportunity to be able to say, hey, I deserve a seat at this table, and I bring something valuable as well. And so when I made my decision to pursue my doctoral degree, one of the individuals who was still mentoring me said, Leon, you need to pursue this, and you need to pursue it for this reason. Because once you get your doctoral degree, even if you decide to retire, just in title alone, it's going to open doors for you. So that's what education gives you.
I could just say ditto, right? So I agree with everything Dr. Farrow said, that it unlocks potential, it gives you exposure and opportunity. So whatever that potential is that's in you, that additional education helps you unlock that potential, right? So that potential someone sees in you. You've heard other panelists talk about people seeing something in them that really didn't get exposed and unveiled until they pursued further opportunities. Additional education will also get you exposure to people, to events, to career choices that you may not have ever considered or had an opportunity to be exposed to when you are pursuing higher education. And then finally, opportunity. You get opportunities that you wouldn't have if you don't finish school or if you only complete high school. I'll share personally very quickly because I'm not sure how we're doing on time. So when I graduated college, I think I shared I'd done a double engineering major in biomedical and electrical engineering. Because I still had maybe doctor in the back of my mind, I also had completed all the pre-med requirements while I was there. And I did all this in 4 years, so I didn't have a social life. You can imagine, double engineering degree, pre-med requirements. I didn't go to a lot of parties. But when I graduated, or upon graduation, I had the opportunity to do pretty much anything I wanted to do. I had a meeting with my advisor, and I said, I'm really trying to figure out next steps. I don't know. And he said, you've either made it better for yourself or harder for yourself. He said, because you haven't ruled anything out. He said, you can go to medical school because you have the requirements to do that. You can go to law school. You can go to graduate school in engineering. You can go to business school, or you can go get a job. there weren't many other of my classmates that had all of those opportunities open to them, right? But it was because I pursued those educational opportunities through additional classes and exposure to particular events and seminars that I had opportunity to do whatever it is that I wanted to do next. And so I think those things, unlocking your potential, giving you exposure, and providing opportunities is why higher education is important.
Thank you again. Well, this leads us to our last question, and this question does come from our students. As students, we often hear about historical Black leaders, but how can we better connect their legacies to the challenges and opportunities we face today? And we open this up to all the panelists.
Say that last part again.
I can read the question again.
Yes.
As students, we often hear about historical Black leaders, but how can we better connect their legacies to the challenges and opportunities we face today?
That's a serious essay question. You know, just sitting up here and realizing some of the things that Dr. Farrow said, he's the first Black principal here at the school. Well, Pam Gainey, she's the first head girls basketball coach at Rocky Mountain High School. I'm the first athletic director at the high school. And you know, we're out here doing things that we don't realize we're making history. You know, we're doing this stuff because we love it. And so I guess part of the question is, how can we continue the legacy or
Make connections.
make connection? We just got to continue to deal with our upbringing and how we were presented and put out here into society. We cannot forget our history. We cannot sit back and let people try to destroy our history. We just have to continue to, you know, it's hard to hear that Black History event going on there and try to stay focused because, you know, they done said that some did Black national anthem, and then they sing something else over there, so it's kind of tough to focus, but again, we have to continue to keep preaching that, you know, and show people, hey, in our books, don't let them get rid of our history. Please, 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 get out here and read. One of the things that I always try to go by with Maya Angelou, and I'm gonna quote it real quick, because I try to present this every day to my students. And she basically said that I've learned that people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's the way I try to present myself each and every day. I have students all the time, Coach Gainey, you too friendly. What do you mean? Because I'm speaking to this person, that person, but I don't care whether they're white, black, red, or blue. But I try to treat them all the same, which I know I can't, but I try to. I try to do that. And so that's why I try to live my life by, and I even on my email, that's why I got on my quote each and every day. I just try to make people feel in a positive manner. So that's how I try to do, to keep the history going.
I think that, as Coach Gainey said, we cannot forget our past. It is a critical part of who we are as a race in this country. I think we still have to acknowledge the disparities that exist, and I think that when necessary, we need to organize and mobilize to keep the things that we believe are necessary alive. But I also believe that there has to be the balance too of making sure that we name the things and the areas of improvement. When we think about Black women, for instance, Black women as it relates to their improvement in the workforce, their academic, that's the word I'm looking for, their achievements, thank you, their academic achievements. Black women outperforming every other group in this country. But when we think about it from an economic perspective, and I'm thinking about the black family, on average, black women earn more than black men. And the only race that happens in is in the black race. So there are still some disparities that exist. We have to acknowledge, address, be willing to talk about why those disparities exist. But then we also have to talk about that often we hear people talk about the percentage of black men between the ages of 16 and 25 that are incarcerated. But we don't talk enough about the number of young black men who are attending college. You know, that's a number that exists as well. That's a number of improvement as well. So I think that we have to find a balance between making sure that we continue to follow up on the legacy and make sure that we are keeping the things sacred that are sacred, but we also have to speak to the things where there are improvement and acknowledge the things where we're doing well. Because too often, in my opinion, we hear all the negative things about young black men, but we don't talk about all the positive things that young black men are involved in.
I agree with what Dr. Farrow is saying, paying attention to the statistics as they are, but also within that, I think we have to continue to push the value of education. And like I said before, both my parents were educators, but they were vocational teachers. And the vocation, you know, everybody's not gonna go to college, and that is a real fact. But still valuing education, there are different types of education, the trades now, and things that young people can do to also create a living. I think those things need to be emphasized and included under the educational umbrella when we speak of education. I may not be a traditional four-year school, but having skills and training, I think is important, along with maintaining understanding and not forgetting a history. And I say this, and I'll try to be quick, but my parents being older, my parents and grandparents, there used to be a lot of songs and poems and things that used to be recited and were so meaningful that, but it's getting away from us. It's getting away from us, and I think we have to maintain that sense of history. And with our children, I spend a lot of time sitting and listening to my parents and grandparents about education and value and opportunities that they didn't have and that they were having, and how it has opened doors for them. From my grandmother's mother had a fourth-year education, but all her children graduated from college, 7 out of 8 back then. And just the doors that it has opened, and we have to maintain that value in education and not let those kids forget.
So I'm going to ask you to repeat the question one more time, because I want to make sure I'm clear about the question. Came from students, and they wanted to know their connection with.
Yeah, so they said, as students, we often hear about historical black leaders. But how can we better connect their legacies to challenges and opportunities we face today?
So I'll share quickly. I think one of the best ways to connect to those leaders' legacies is make sure you understand what their legacy is. And so you've heard the panel talk about remembering that history. So they had a legacy for what? What was the cause they were fighting for? a lot of times we hear the stories, we don't really know the story behind the story. And so understanding that history, and then how does that relate to what you are dealing with today? My grandfather used to always say there's nothing new created under the sun, right? So a lot of what you all are dealing with, seeing today, we've seen it before, maybe in a different form, maybe in at a different pace, because I do believe that social media has sped some stuff up, right? Y'all deal with stuff a lot quicker than we had to deal with it, but a lot of it is the same core issues. And so understanding what it was that they were dealing with and why they had that legacy, and connecting it to how can you relate to, use, learn from the skills, the information that they left us to advance in a cause today. That's what I would share.
Let's give our esteemed panelists a hand. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. I'm going to invite our colleague, Keisha Floyd, to the stage. She is the department chair and professor here at the College for Business and Information Technologies. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you. Wow. You guys did an amazing job. Let us take a moment to reflect on the incredible contributions, the resilience, and the achievements of our panelists. You all did a fantastic job. I am truly inspired. I want to just take a moment and just recap a couple of things that resonated with me, probably with our audience as well. We heard from Trustee Gailliard. She is an advocate of community service. She's serving on local boards that are truly impacting change right here in our local community. Ms. Gainey, she's talked about the importance of work ethic and how her support system saw something special in her to invest in her special talents, even regarding athletics, and how just someone believing in us can propel us forward. Dr. Farrow, the Assistant Superintendent of Nash County Public Schools, you heard him talk a lot about leadership and how his mentors saw something special in him and invested in him, and how he used those talents to propel with education and giving back to his community. Mr. Gainey, he talked about the importance of mentors and teachers and how his community invested in him, saw something special in him. He's gone on to invest in other students and giving back. Back to Dr. Farrow for a second, one thing that you said that resonated with me was create your own narrative. How are we going to do that as a people, as a culture, as a community? How can we create our own narrative? Our student ambassador and the great words that he spoke. Yes. What's going to be your legacy? How are you going to impact change? How are you going to inspire change, break boundaries? So I hope that everyone today heard something that motivates you. We invite you to hang out with us a bit. We have refreshments in the back. Feel free to engage with each other, engage with our panelists. Let's think about the things that we've heard today and how we can now take that back out into our community and inspire change. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for helping us celebrate Black History Month. Thank you.
Enjoy listening. Oh my goodness.